Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Cobra. The Cobra range of garden machinery is constantly expanding and offers the UK's largest range of lawnmowers. With a comprehensive lineup of quality and innovative petrol, electric, battery and cordless products to tackle any gardening task, Cobra is the newest evolution in garden machinery. Visit cobragarden.co.uk for your chance to win a variety of great Cobra products.
Hello, as we start recording, Ellen is giggling as usual. Welcome to the grand finale of Series 4 of the Plant-Based Podcast, your favourite podcast.
Favourite plant podcast ever.
It could be their favourite podcast.
Ever,
exactly. So yeah, welcome. Thank you for being on the Series 4 ride. We're going to start with Series 5 in the autumn, but we've got something to tell you about the summer. But first up, let's tell you all about the episode that we've got here for you today.
I'm really excited about this one. I know I'm excited about every single episode, and we are so lucky to have so many amazing guests, but this one's all about plant memories.
This is our most interactive.
This is an interactive episode, and I think this one in the kind of finale of the series is absolutely perfect. You know, Katie Vaz has written a book, My Life in Plants, and it's really a chronicle of her life and what she's been through and how plants have helped her, plants that have brought her memories, you know, plants, different aspects in her life, basically. And that's got us talking about memories, hasn't it? Our plant memories.
Definitely. So in our final gossip section, you'll find that this is going to be a little bit more structured. We'll be talking about our plant memories, also reading out a few reviews as well. But throughout the episode, you'll hear our interview with Katie, but also a few of your memories. So we've actually asked listeners, some of our good friends, contacts, to tell us all about their first memories of growing plants, seeing plants, eating plants. It could be the first strawberry from a plant when you're young. It's really, it just makes you feel warm inside.
I know, it does.
Thinking about these memories. So I think I know that you guys will really enjoy this episode, and of course if you've got any plant memories you want to share with us, then let us know on social media. Please do.
It makes my heart sing. But we do have some really good news. So in between series that's now ending and the next series, which is series 5, well, that's not coming out until autumn. We're going to do some special podcast episodes just to get you through, and Michael's going to go it alone and I'm going to go it alone.
Oh my god! Oh. It's like who left Girls Aloud first? Spice Girls is easier.
Jerry. Girls, Jerry.
So it's like you're the Jerry and I'm the whoever left next.
I don't think anyone else left, but okay. I'll go with being Jerry.
So what are your episodes going to be, young
I've got
Ellen?
4 episodes that are all to do with well-being.
Ooh.
So plants for well-being. I've got some amazing guests, really very cool guests.
Cool.
Big names that I'm very excited about.
Oh. Do you think we should add up the listens and see who's going to win this?
No, that's
summer tournament of podcasting.
So bad.
Oh.
We're not in competition.
Okay, so yours is going to be like the special well-being episodes. I don't know why I did inverted commas.
You did, yeah.
I'm sorry. And mine is going to be the kind of inverted commas plant geek episodes for the summer. So I'm actually talking to various breeders, kind of trade people behind the scenes, because very often, this is a world that I've worked in for more than 20 years, but I often forget that a lot of people don't know about this hidden world. And kind of, I know all about sweet peas that have been bred, kind of what they're looking for next, etc., all these plants. But it's not often the public gets to hear about that. So I've got interviews lined up with sweet pea breeders, petunia breeders, and Tarinum as well. which might feel a bit left field, but that's actually a really fascinating world. There's a lot changing there, a lot of fragrance coming into it, orchid flowered, perennial as well. So I'm so excited to share these episodes with you guys as well.
That's going to be really interesting, because I think I've said to you in the past, I don't get to see that. I don't get to see behind the scenes of breeding. So whenever we talk about it or we go somewhere, that really, I find that really interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's, you're doing what you kind of specialise in, and I'm doing what I love doing, and I think the two will kind of gel together really well.
It's really fun. And then we'll be back with the main Series 5 in September. What date in September? Do you remember, Ellen Mary?
I don't, but you can check it on Google spreadsheets.
We're so slick. It's the 19th of September.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we'll be alternating our own individual episodes until that point and keeping everyone entertained.
Yeah, and with the new series, if you've got any ideas for people we should interview or new contributions you'd like to have, because in Series 4, we've had Donna with houseplants, we've had Forage and Folklore with their regular wild recipes, and we've also had Joey and Katie with their veg-centric recipes.
And Sharpen Your Spades as well with his allotment uncle tips.
Definitely. So if you've got any other suggestions, do let us know. But I will leave Ellen to intro our final episode here today.
Our final episode.
I'm putting you on the stage.
Our final episode in Series 4 is with the absolutely delightful Katie Vaz, talking all about her new book, My Life in Plants.
Yes, and listen out for your contributions as well, which will be littered through the episode.
So on the podcast today, we have Katie Vaz, who is an illustrator and author in upstate New York. She's actually illustrated and authored a lovely book called My Life in Plants. So we're going to talk with Katie today about plant memories, and plus later in the episode we're also going to be featuring some of your memories. That's right, some of you wonderful listeners out there who have talked to us about what plants bring back amazing memories for you, and maybe not so amazing memories too.
Yeah, good point, actually.
It's not always great memories that you learn through plants. So welcome to the podcast, Casey. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
How are you doing? Where are you calling from? Just so we can get a bit of context today.
I'm calling from upstate New York, actually. So I live near the Binghamton, Ithaca area, which is about 3.5 hours from New York City, near the Pennsylvania border. So it's a small city and quite rural around. I grew up in a very tiny town nearby of maybe less than 5,000 people, I think. It was a lot of farmland here.
You've always been surrounded by nature then, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. It's very important to me. And when I was younger, I think I was very eager to leave that, to, I don't know, move to a bigger city or something. But as I've gotten older, I know that I just feel so much more natural somewhere around nature and where there's plants around. So I think I was fighting it a bit when I was younger, but now I'm just making peace with it.
That's good. So when did you, with all the nature surrounded, around your home and in your life, when is it that you very first started to actually notice plants?
I think that's an interesting question, because plants and gardening have always been a big part of my life, and it's very much tied to my childhood and my family. And when I was younger, my grandpa had this huge garden. And so a lot of my memories from then were about going to his house on weekends, snacking on like fresh cucumbers and tomatoes in the garden. And so, so I feel like they've always been around, but I'm not sure that I really started noticing it or paying attention to it until I was a bit older and I started associating it with memories. Or if I was not at home because of college or traveling or something, I found myself very much then being drawn to plants because it reminded me so much of home and my family.
That's really lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And so I wonder, actually, we've always been around plants, but at what point do you suddenly realise that they actually make you think of other things? Do you know what I mean? Or memories,
I don't know. I think
emotions?
for me, there's so many plants that remind me of my grandma, and it then takes me back to when we were growing them, and kind of, it's really cool.
I think I think for me, it was a few years ago when my uncle, who got me in, who I have lovely memories of gardening with as a child, he passed away. And I remember saying, because my mum organised the flowers for the funeral. And I was like, I want really bright flowers. Like I want bright, lovely, like purples and pinks and stuff. Anyway, and it was lovely, this beautiful kind of wreath. And then I thought, it's missing something. And I went to my allotment and I picked some marigolds. Oh, that's cool. And I put them into the wreath. And it was the marigolds that reminded me of my uncle, because he always used to have them in his garden. And I think that's when it really hit home that how they provoke such emotion in you. I was very impressed with my little marigolds. I mean, they didn't stay alive very long, to be fair. But, that was my little memory.
Yeah. So what are some of your earliest gardening memories then? Things that you still think about today in the present day?
Yeah, I think I definitely think about my grandpa's garden very much. He's not around anymore. So now that I'm older and living on my own, I feel like when I'm in the garden myself, that's when I feel like it's this connection to the past. Like no matter where I am, I can always feel connected that way or feel close to my family. And especially last year being at home in the pandemic, I thought that was really nice that no matter where everyone was, we could feel close that way. But I think those are probably my earliest gardening memories. And I didn't help out very much then. I think I was just there to eat cucumbers and tomatoes.
Yeah.
I think, it was definitely very much like my grandpa's house, and he was retired at the time. So it was just something he did to pass the time. And it was very like a very idyllic, rural kind of easy.
Sure.
Childhood. Yeah.
Sounds nice. So, at some point, not very long ago, you decided to put your memories throughout kind of your life into your book. So tell us a bit about the book and where that idea came from.
Sure. So My Life in Plants is an illustrated memoir that tells the story of my life through 39 plants and flowers that have been like an audience to various experiences in my life. And I go all the way back to childhood and ended up at my wedding day. And so it's about, some of the stories are kind of humorous. Some are nostalgic and warm, and then others are a bit more poignant and heavy, I think. Because it's a memoir, it's of course very personal to me, but I do talk about some universal life experiences that I think a lot of readers have been relating to, such as just growing into your adult self, finding your own way in life, and forging your own path, and a very universal experience of dealing with loss and grief and what that process can be like. The idea for the book actually came about from a personal project I was working on back in like 2017 or so, I think. And I lovingly called it Plants I've Killed. And so just a way for me to practice drawing plants and to also document everything that I killed, because I thought it was really funny that no matter what plant I had, it just never seemed to survive.
Sorry, I've got to just say, I love that idea. Sorry to interrupt you, but we always document the plant or the seeds that we've sown or the plants that we've bought, the ones that have grown really well, but we don't ever write down or document the ones that have died on us. But that's actually what you should do, because that's how you learn, right?
Exactly. That's true. I do feel like I've learned the most based on the plants I've killed. So that's really true. But I was like, these plants are not going to live that long. So how about I try to like memorialize it somehow on paper, and it's just something fun for me. But once I started thinking about those plants and thinking about different plants I've had in my life, I started realizing how much plants have just really always been in my life as far back as I can remember. I think they've been a part of any sort of significant moment or any sort of even memorable, ordinary moment in my life. And so that evolved into the book that we called My Life in Plants.
That's super cool. And it does take you on a journey, and it is very personal actually as well. You're reading about somebody's life at the end of the day, and your thoughts and feelings and emotions, but attaching that to plants is really cool.
Definitely. And plants can also be used as therapy as well. Have you done any work in that area?
Yes, I was thinking about that recently. So I've personally struggled with anxiety throughout my life. And one of the best ways for me to cope with that is to just get out of my own head. I feel like it's very easy to kind of just spiral and overthink stuff. So if I can distract myself by being outside in nature or going for a walk or something, I've found that really to be helpful. And I think there's really something to be said about caring for something else or nurturing something else that really, really helps get you out of your own head. So I've found that being in the garden really helps, just focusing on something different, and like the tactile feel with your hands of like the dirt and the plants. I think that's something that I found to be really helpful. So I do think that it is really helpful for people who have anxiety or anyone who has a similar upbringing where those gardening memories are tied to good memories or family. I think that can be really helpful for even feelings of like isolation and things like that.
That's so true. I do remember posting a post like on Instagram a while ago now. It was probably marigolds. I can't remember, but it's something that evoked a memory. And whatever one it was, somebody replied and just said, not all plants provoke good memories, because this reminds me of something terrible that happened. I can't remember what the situation. I felt so bad. This poor lady is like,
tell,
I know, but she's obviously distraught about something, and this plant brings back that memory. And I was like all over it. I love this plant. This is amazing. You know?
That's true though. It's totally different for everyone. I think for me, it would be like some sort of lily. I associate with funerals, and they can be like such pretty smelling flowers, but I would probably never have one. But I totally understand if someone loves flowers like that. I think you're totally right. It's different for everyone.
It's like art though, isn't it? Like some people like certain art and others don't like it at all. Lilies just make me sneeze.
I'm just trying to think of any plants that give me bad memories. I don't know. Maybe my earliest gardening memory is going to plant a plant in the garden and standing on it. It was destroyed. And of course, at that age, I don't know, like maybe 6 years old, you're excited that you grew this plant at school, like from a cutting, and then I stood on it and I was bereft. It was awful. So that's probably my worst plant memory. And my best is kind of like my grandma and how we used to, plant stuff. And a few years ago, I tried to buy a lot of the houseplants that she used to grow on her windowsills as well.
Okay.
So like a kind of, what do you call it, a tribute? No, tribute. Yeah.
We don't want to say memorial seems a bit much.
Right. A shrine or something.
I love white roses. I had white roses in my wedding bouquet. This is another thing my poor mum was responsible for, because I didn't want to get involved. I was like, you sort the flowers. All I'm concerned about is that they're white, not creamy, not off-white. I want white flowers. That was the only thing I stipulated. And anyway, the flowers came back. They were lovely. And I can remember holding the bouquet thinking, there's these berries that they look pink, but they look like sort of shimmery pink. I was like, real? So anyway, I later found out that because I'd been really harsh about the fact everything must be white, that when this bouquet and table arrangement came, the berries were blue, and Mum was so worried I was going to flip out. She got pink nail varnish and painted all of the berries pink.
You're such a Mariah.
That's very dedicated.
But now, whenever I see like blue berries, it reminds me, any bluish berry reminds me. My poor mum.
Hi, I'm Charles Hunter from Niagara Falls, Canada. I always asked what plant takes me back in time, what nostalgic plant really reconnects me with the garden. And I gotta say, I'm surrounded by landscapes and the might of the Niagara Falls, but the plant that brings me back to my very first garden center visit was actually marigolds. It was a young family. My mom took me in, I think I was about 4 years old, and they opened up the doors in April, and the first thing I could smell was marigold. So even now, when I walk by a marigold plant, this typical orange one I think was the color, and my mom had a flat, and I really wanted to help. I wanted to be part of that experience, and what she did was she gave me one flower. And I remember even now, just the scent of it on my hands, smelling it, and now even eating it. I don't think I ate it when I was a kid, but eating it, brings me right back to my very first garden as a kid at 4 years old.
Hello, it's Donna from Pretty Cactus Plants here. I'm here to tell you my plant memory. My first memory of plants has to be of my nan's spider plant. She had a huge one on one of those kind of old wooden tables. So it would have the plant sat in the middle and it would all cascade down over the edges, and it had loads and loads of little offshoots. And I remember spending Saturday afternoons around at Nan's house potting up those little offshoots. And I think, if I'm being honest, that's what got me into plants in the first place. It was that kind of reward of being able to see something flourish and helping it grow, and yeah, it was just really cool. I still love spider plants now, and they still have to be one of my favourites. They just make me think of my nan, and they make me think of all those hours spent with her and all that reward from spending a little bit of time on a Saturday afternoon in her greenhouse, potting them up and seeing those little baby spider plants flourish. I've always got spider plants in stock here at Pretty Cactus, and you can always have a look online at www.prettycactus.co.uk. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hey Michael and Helen, it's Judith Boehner from the Dutch company Het Groenlab, the Green Lab. My plant memories are based around a little garden center in the middle of Haarlem, just near Amsterdam, where I grew up, and the plants that my dad used to nurture at our home in the 70s. When I was around 6-7 years old, I used to go to work at the garden center in a dead-end street just around the corner from where I lived. And I think they let me play around with pots and plants, but for me it felt really serious. So I used to walk in the greenhouse with indoor plants, and I remember a lot of leaf begonia and pelargoniums, the plants that are still favorite today. I actually collect them from small garden centers and fairs around Europe. And just now I realized that it's probably where my love and fascination for them grew. And then the plants my dad used to grow in the house, and also in the little greenhouse he made in the back of our city garden. So him growing up on a farm in the hills of Germany gave him a lot of knowledge, and he passed that on to me. He started with 2 plants that he gave in my responsibility. It was a huge Boston fern that I had to make sure that it had water enough, and also an umbrella papyrus or an umbrella palm, a Cyperus alternifolius. For the last one, I had to make sure that it had plenty of water every day. Nowadays it's still my favorite, also because it's so nice how the cut umbrellas grow upside down on a saucer to new plants. I treasure these moments and these memories because they make me happy and they make me realize how I love plants.
But you've got a houseplant sitting behind you, and you have written about a section about houseplants, haven't you, that you've killed?
Yes.
Do you have any tips about growing houseplants, and indeed any houseplants that bring back lovely memories for you as well?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with tips. From my personal experience, I would say to start small. Don't get crazy and try to get a lot. I feel like I find myself seeing all these beautiful urban jungle things on Instagram, and people have their houses filled with lush tropical plants, and it looks so amazing. But it's really easy to be overwhelmed by too many plants. So I think it's better to start building your confidence with a couple that you can keep alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, and another thing also from personal experience is that plants probably aren't as thirsty as you think they are.
Stop it.
Yeah.
It's much easier to revive a plant that's too dry than one that's too wet, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
When it's dry, you can see visibly that it needs water. But you can't see when it doesn't need water.
No, yeah, unless it's too far gone or something.
That is so true. That's the number one thing I will always ask anyone. If they say, why is my house plant died? I'm like, you overwatered.
Yeah, such a good guess.
Yeah, definitely. I last year had an issue with fungus gnats in some of my plants too, and I was so grateful that I didn't have that many in my house. But I think one of the problems was that I was watering it too much, and so I was just making things worse. So these ones have actually survived. I'm very grateful that they're still there. But there's a ponytail palm and a parlor palm and a small Pilia peperomia, I believe.
Yeah, peperomeroides.
Yeah.
Peperomeroides, whatever. Yeah.
And I have a Christmas cactus plant over by my window. And I think that actually reminds me of my family, because my grandma always grew those. And she actually passed away before I ever met her. But my family always talks about having those plants. And I think someone in the family has the same plant, so it's like lived for so many decades, and they are always really happy in my home. I think they can withstand a lot, so I automatically love those plants that can just sort of hang out and be happy, and it's hard for them to be killed by me.
And that's really nice, actually, to have a plant to remind you of someone who you perhaps haven't even met, but is your ancestor, is like important to your whole being. That's really cool.
Yeah, because it's very limited how much I can learn about her these days. So I've heard she was really into gardening, and she grew poppies a long time ago at my family's house, and so I've been really trying hard to grow poppies at my house. Just another way to feel connected to my family. I haven't had luck yet, but I think every year I'm learning something. So we'll see if this year is a little different.
We learn something more every year, no matter what, with gardening and plants, don't we? Always. Is there a plant, one specific plant that brings back the most lovely memory for you? Like your number one plant?
That's a great question. It's really hard to choose, but I would say probably a tomato plant, because that was tomatoes were such a staple at my family's house in the summertime, and it's attached to one of my earliest memories of being in the garden, and it's something that I can grow myself. And I'm a really big fan of food and cooking as well, so it ties into that. So I think that's something that no matter what else is going on in my garden, I think that would always make me the happiest.
Can I just tell you something? Yeah. I really hate the smell of tomato foliage.
A lot of people do. It's kind of like coriander. Love it or hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like it when you walk in a greenhouse, because it smells like summer. It's like that nice summery smell. Yeah. But when you're like harvesting tomatoes and you get it on your fingers, and
but it's that fragrance that reminds you of childhood, you know, as well.
Absolutely, completely,
exactly, yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about the book, a little bit more, what it involves, where people can buy it from before we finish up with you. That would be great to know more.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, it's an illustrated memoir. It is, there's written parts to it and illustrated parts. So each chapter, there's a big illustration that talks about the memories that I mentioned, and depicts like that moment in time, or a scene about a lesson that I think I've learned from that plant memory. But yeah, it's available as a hardcover, and it's also, there's an audiobook version and an ebook version, and those are available anywhere you find books. So big box retailers, online, and you can also check your local bookstore.
That's really cool. Thank you. So that's My Life in Plants by Katie Vaz, and I've got it, and it's lovely.
It's cool, and it's hopefully inspired us so much that we're now going to hand over to listeners for the voice notes of their gardening memories, and hopefully there's a few surprises there. Let's see if there's any, not bad memories, but funny memories. That's a nice one to look out for as well. That's I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for joining us today, Katie.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie,
for having me.
Lovely to meet you.
No worries. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jen Lou Meredith, writer and social media consultant. For me, the plants that evoke the strongest memories are cacti. This is because when I left my parents' house and got my own place, I went to IKEA to get some furniture, and the only houseplants that I could really afford were the mini cacti that came in packs of 3. Years later, I still have them, and they're much bigger and stronger and seem much happier in my home than they did on the shelves in the IKEA store.
I'm Natalie Porter from the Bedding Plant Nursery Happy Plants. For me, the plant that evokes the most childhood memories is easily the fuchsia. My granddad showed fuchsias, flower shows across the country, and used to take my cousin and I along with him. He told us it was for the important job of popping the flower buds the night before the judges came round so that they'd be putting their best flowers on show. But I think it was possibly just to keep us out of our parents' way for a little while. My cousin and I would traipse around all of these flower shows with matching t-shirts that my nan had made for us, which said, "I'm a porter's seedling" on the front, and on the back had a huge bug with the caption, "I crunch vine weevil." And for me, I think that's something that will stick with me forever, and every time I see a fuchsia, it reminds me so much of my family's heritage, but of those treasured days with my grandparents at flower shows, as I say, across the country, and with my cousin just absolutely causing havoc and thinking we were being helpful.
Hi Michael and Ellen, it's Hannah here, Director of Perrywood Garden Centres, also known as the Cactus Surgeon. My plant memories are based around gardens, but also obviously growing up at a garden centre. So my dad grew pick your own strawberries, so anytime I pick a strawberry from the garden, it immediately takes me back to those kind of rows of strawberries in the field with straw around them, finding birds' nests amongst them, red juice running down my chin, just makes me instantly happy. And then things like tulips. I have vivid memories of tulips being in my the second garden we lived in, and they were bright red with that really dark black kind of centre, and I remember kind of peering into them and looking as a bumblebee would fly out and kind of whack me in the face. So yeah, lots of special memories, and I always make sure I've got those nostalgic plants in my garden because they just really make me happy.
Cobra is the very proud partner of Series 4 of the Plant-Based Podcast, joining in the celebration of plants, gardens and outdoor living. With over 60 models of lawnmowers available in the Cobra range, there's something for every garden. As a special offer for our listeners, Cobra is offering the chance to win exclusive prizes. Head over to cobragarden.co.uk to find out more.
I always do that when we start a gossip.
What?
I like
put your hair behind your shoulders.
It's like
people do that.
I'm doing business now. I need to flick my hair behind my shoulders.
But what does the flick actually do? It just gets it out of your way. I guess it gets your hair out of the way.
Because when you're talking, it's in your face if you haven't got it up, so you sort of flick it out of the way.
Well, I've only ever had top knot, so.
Well, you've got hair all over your face that you can't flick out of the way. Anyway,
have you always had hair like this?
Mostly. I've had short hair a lot. I've had really
Jessie J?
I've had like pixie cut hair before.
No.
Yeah, it was horrendous.
No, your face is too big.
And
sorry, I've just been honest.
This was a long time ago. I may have been a lot slimmer.
No, I didn't mean like fat. I just meant in dimensions. Oh, God.
Yeah, you're digging a hole.
I wish the kitchen floor would swallow me up.
Digging a hole there. And I've had like a bob, which I'm thinking about doing again. So I've had lots of different haircuts.
Oh, that's a spoiler. You heard it here first. Ellen's new hair.
Anyway, how are you doing?
How are you Very doing? Well, yes.
Very good.
How's your allotment? Because I heard you say a line earlier that I was just like, what the hell? And I was like, you need to get cancelled for this. What did you say, Ellen Mary? Say the line.
I'm over it.
I'm over my allotment.
I'm over my allotment.
Oh my God, do you realise all of those big multi-million-pound product endorsements you work on, they're all going to fall out the window now. I'm over my allotment.
Dun, dun, dun.
Why are you over your allotment?
I'm not over it, but I think I'm over the weather.
The season, yeah.
It's like I have not seen real sunshine for going on for 5 weeks now in Norwich. It has rained consistently, and my allotment's my haven. I love it.
God, you're on a rant. I can tell by your tone.
I've started already.
Your tone suddenly changed into this like, I'm going to give you £5 paragraphs of...
Did my face get rounder with it? I love it down there. But at this point in the year, having not seen sun for so long, it's quite hard to be motivated to go and do what you need to do.
Yeah,
because it's like we're nearly in August.
I know the last time we said, like, it's all green, but actually green is quite a depressing colour.
I'm going to say green is my favourite colour, but it's not my favourite colour when none of your fruits and veg are ripening because they haven't seen any sun for like 5 weeks. So I'm over the weather more than the allotment. But yeah, hand in hand, really.
Oh dear. Well, I think you should get cancelled for that.
I'm now cancelled. I've been cancelled out.
Oh dear.
Anyway,
how's my garden? Oh, my Tigridia's out today. My tiger flower.
Beautiful.
I didn't even know.
When
I never walk up the front path, you see. I always come in the back gate.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, so many people do that. I always wonder why people come in the back door.
I feel like it's more exotic. I don't know. No, and it also feels more discreet. It's kind of like just slipping into the back.
Like you don't want to be packed.
My front door's for best. It's like having a good room.
I love that.
I don't know, it just feels more...
My neighbours always go in the back door, and I always wonder why. Well, either way, but I pulled up at the front, and because I did, I saw your Tigridia.
Oh, lovely. I think it makes me feel like I got a bigger house, like in the country, and so I have to go through the back gate because I just pulled up near the back gate. I don't know.
The psychology of backdoor entrance.
Yeah, if any of our listeners know this psychology of what door you use, but have you got that superstition thing? My grandma had this of if you come in the front, you have to go out the front. You can't come in the front and go out the back.
No, I don't have superstition.
Yeah, but I don't really follow it anymore. To be honest.
Anyway, going back to what you did say in the first place, your garden is looking tremendous.
Thank you. Yes, I've just noticed the rose.
The rose. It's got beautiful big flowers.
But I just want to change it all the time because now I keep looking at this garage wall and I'm like, I wish it was pistachio.
Well, change it.
Yeah, I know.
You can do whatever you want. It's your garden.
I know you can. You can.
We always think our garden has to stay the same, but it doesn't have to.
I love my monster outside.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I started to think the other day, like, why don't we make like houseplant arrangements? No, don't mean that. Why don't we do patio pots, but actually like actively include houseplants? I know for years, like spider plants, etc.
I do.
But have you ever done it with a monstera?
Yes. Did you see my memory container? Have you seen my memory container?
Was that not all indoors?
No, it was outdoors. Monstera, maidenhair fern, orchid. Orchid Las Vegas went in.
But that's predominantly an indoor container.
No, indoor or outdoor.
You could put it outdoors.
Yeah, outdoor, indoor.
Oh, Ellen, you are starting to be a pioneer. I'm losing my touch. Because you've also been hanging jewellery off a Sansevieria.
I can't believe I never thought of that before.
Was it your idea or did you see it somewhere else?
No, it was completely
You could be honest.
100%.
Yeah?
This is what happened, right? I've got a bag with my jewellery, completely tangled. I give it... thankfully, my husband's home at the moment because he will sit and unpick it all for me because I don't have the patience for that. Anyway,
I wouldn't do that.
In America, I have a hanger, like a coat hanger, and I hang my jewellery on it because it's the only way I can stop it tangling. And I don't like the jewellery stand hangers. They just look weird. Anyway... So my jewellery is right next to this Sansevieria. And I was thinking, oh my God, I've got to pick through all this jewellery again. And then I was like, oh my God, look at the Sansevieria. Why am I not... It was literally in that moment. It's been there for like a year and my jewellery's been tangled up for like a year. So I don't know why I never thought of the two. And I was like, that's it.
You've become a creative.
My TikTok video is a very popular video for that.
I can imagine. It's super cool.
There you go. Thanks. Why, thank you.
I think I'm just on summer hiatus. My creativity's all been drained at the moment.
It's the weather. It's the weather. We need sun.
But also, it's been... You know how it is with the season, it's been manic. I've had loads of different content to create, and I feel like now I'm at the top of the mountain, but then I'm like, I want to be at the bottom of it again because I quite like having all this like stuff hanging on you.
We all need a break.
Hanging on you like a Sansevieria.
Yeah, there you go. We all need a break.
Oh, look at my Primulina, babe.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's one of very few houseplants I've got to reflower.
It's clever.
Yeah.
What did you
I didn't even try.
Oh, it just did.
Although someone gave me this great tip with streptocarpus to have them on the clay pebbles and then they only draw up the water they need.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is just...
Do you spritz it? Someone once told me to spritz streptocarpus just like you would do an orchid.
Doesn't do much.
I know. Yeah. And also I read that you have to spritz a lot for it to make any difference.
Well, I've got this humidifier, like little one that someone sent me, but to be honest, Have you got a humidifier?
No.
Because I don't feel like it's good for the plants because obviously it's giving you a moist environment, but I kind of don't believe it's working because I want to feel moist as well, if you know what I mean. I don't feel like, suddenly my skin's moist, so I don't believe the moisture's there.
But you don't want your whole house to be
I know. But I want to believe that it works.
Oh my goodness. The trials
even if I put my face above it, I'd expect to get a wet face.
Like a spa treatment.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, then, this is the grand finale episode. Tell us about that, babe.
Well, we've just done it, I think, haven't we? I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Say a few nice words.
Honestly, it was such a lovely chat with Katie, actually. And it's really nice to think about how plants affect us in our daily lives and in certain situations. So, in her book, she kind of will talk about a certain plant that reminds her of a certain point in her life. So, for example, we'll talk about our memories in a minute, but if something really bad has happened to you, there might be a plant that helped to get you through because you were caring for it, or it might remind you of that bad situation and you don't want to have that plant in your home anymore.
Yeah, it can go both ways.
Exactly. So it was actually really nice just to chat about kind of how plants have been so important to her and how she's chronicalized it. Is that a word? I don't know, but it sounds
arranged it chronologically. It doesn't sound good.
Oh. Okay, anyway, tell us some of your plant memories.
I think houseplants is the thing I remember the most from my grandma. Also, a lot of the classic kind of perennials like helenium. We don't grow much helenium these days.
Helenium. Yeah.
Achillea, but Tarmica, the pearl, the little one that's kind of... It's a really cool plant. You should grow that. It's very unlike the kind of millefolium type.
Okay. Which I have abundance of it on my allotment.
I should Google it. No, I'll Google it in a minute.
You'll Google it?
It's a way to say Google without having to pay the ad rate. I don't know what I'm talking about. What else? So those kind of classic perennials, I'd say. Alstroemeria.
Yeah, I like
some
those.
Lovely, rich, kind of orange ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could almost plot my grandma's garden of what was growing where, which is quite... I hadn't realised that till now. And also watching the stuff grow over the years. She had like Physostagia, the obedient plant, like Hibiscus syriacus, and just kind of tumbling aubrietia. Yeah, all of these plants really. But I've obviously got memories attached to plants that I've then introduced or kind of worked on in the industry, but... I feel that my plant memories are mostly then kind of attached to childhood and younger times.
I think we all
I don't have any that really link me to kind of adulthood. No.
Well, you're surrounded by plants.
But it's none that I would that are attached to memories necessarily.
Interesting. Is there a plant that reminds you of being on a nice holiday? Or a plant that reminds you of a situation you haven't enjoyed so much, because they can bring memories in all ways, can't they?
Sure, that's such a good question.
Oh, look at me.
Oh, am I two-dimensional? What about you then?
There's some sun on the side of your garage.
Well, that's why I had a white garage.
This is the first time I've seen sun in 5 weeks. I'll tell you a memory, shall I?
Yeah, but not from your childhood, from like older.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done childhood memories, haven't we? But it is from my childhood, but it's a completely different memory that we've ever spoken about before.
Not like the ones you promote heavily.
No, the marigold. Anyway, in our living room, I can remember a huge monstera, right? Mm-hmm. Huge. And there was a big lamp next to it. And it was, I think, like a tall lamp. A freestanding one.
I know what a tall lamp is.
And then it had an orangey yellow lampshade on it, okay? And I mean, the decor was horrendous. I mean, I'm sure it was trendy then, but it was all like weird brown and orange carpet and stuff and velvet wallpaper. And this sounds like we were very rich, and we so weren't. But there was this big lamp and this big monstera. Anyway, at Christmas time, my dad and my uncle got really, really drunk.
Yeah.
And my mum was saying, okay, enough's enough, you two. Yeah, this is like too much. You're out of control. Have too much to drink. Anyway, in an attempt to get up off his seat, my uncle, who I always talk about gardening, got up, knocked the lamp that completely knocked over the monstera and broke it, literally broke it. And there was soil all over the floor. And my mum was so cross.
Yeah.
And she was so cross, not because the fancy lamp got broken, but because the monstera got broken. And it always reminds me of Christmas.
Good, go for it.
Christmas in my household was always drunk. But that monstera always, that's what I always remember.
Yeah.
So that is a random memory.
Hi, my name is Allison from All I Plant. I'm a garden coach and blogger based in North Carolina. Ellen Mary asked me to share a plant memory, and I'm happy to talk about muscadines, a native grape that grows in the southeast United States. Now, I remember going to my grandparents' house in late summer and eating grapes straight from the vine under their arbor. It really felt like a magical world because I was surrounded with that sweet fragrance of the muscadines. Now, when my family moved to the country, one of the first things I planted were muscadines. They're a living reminder of my grandparents and a connection to my past. So every time I pick a muscadine, it still feels magical. Thanks again, Ellen Mary.
Hi, this is Lorna, guest presenter on QVC. So some of my earliest memories of my grandfather's garden in Wadden in Surrey, and we used to have an old World War II bomb shelter in the garden, and he'd actually grown over that with a rockery. So he'd have little cacti and succulents or breccia, beautiful flowers trailing down off the rockery. Behind that were his tomato beds, and for me, some of the most evocative memories of my childhood were the sense of really fresh, sun-ripened, warm tomatoes. And he'd slice them, put them on toast, add some salt and pepper, and then grill them. So tomatoes on toast were a huge part of my childhood. And then he'd also have lupins, sweet peas, peonies. Every Sunday I'd go over and help my grandfather garden, and it was some of my happiest childhood memories, it really was. So for me, the sense of tomatoes, the beautiful peonies, roses, but then seeing the lupins, the sweet peas, and then the rockery with all the albrecia, that for me sums up my childhood.
I remember one spring, at the time I was 11 years old, my mother's flower garden was covered with a blanket of vibrant tulip blossoms. I also recall smelling the fragrant carnations. We enjoyed growing these plants in our front garden, and every time I get a whiff of the sweet and spicy aroma of the carnations, it brings me back to my childhood.
Cool, ding dong. So, talking about those, talking about some of our favourite episodes. So what do you remember from this season, young Ellen? Lovely Greens, making her soaps. Orchids as well. Orchids, we were actually at the orchid nursery.
Oh, I really enjoyed that.
You were like a kid in the sweet shop, weren't you?
Yes, because I don't often get to go behind the scenes like you. And there was just like a billion orchids and it was just so pretty. So yeah, I super loved that. I actually really enjoyed Sterling Suffolk, all the tomatoes, just to see like how many tomatoes you can grow. And how long those plants last, and they're only grown in tiny little coir bags that are just constantly fed and watered. And that actually made me grow my tomatoes slightly different this year. I haven't potted my tomatoes up into the biggest containers like I usually do. I stood them on a tray, and the roots are growing out of the bottom of the pot into the tray, and I water and feed into the tray. And I have an abundance of tomatoes this year.
That's cool. And Chris Baben was talking about his naked greengrossing. Obviously, we're into that.
Yeah.
Lynn Ferguson with her bail planting. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had some great gossip guests too. Obviously, at the start of the series, we were at Perrywood and Kiln Farm. Yeah, it's been a really cool series. And obviously, we added in those contributors this series. Next series, we're going to add in a few new features as well, such as Plant Fail of the Week.
Plant Fail and Plant Fan.
Plant Fan. And also Social Media Drama of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's always one. So,
we always like to shake the new series up, but we should just give a massive thank you to our contributors for this series.
Definitely.
I mean, honestly, they've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Joey and Katie Cook. Forage and Folklore, Sharpen Your Spades, and Pretty Cactus Plants.
We're going to read out some different reviews. I'm going to read out some Apple podcast ones. I don't know if you looked on those recently. I think you're you'll go for a tantrum when you see a couple of these.
Am I? I went for a tantrum. I'm going to be very cool.
Because obviously you can't please everyone. This first time we looked at it for nigh on a year. Right, so first up we got Priya's mum. I have recently decided to start gardening and growing veg. I was looking for a podcast and they are all a bit staid and for old people. What is that plane doing? This is not a flight path.
How dare it fly above your house?
Hang on, wait a minute. Okay. Are you done?
It's going.
Right. So Priya's mum, back to Priya's mum. This one is great. So much information and enthusiasm. Really enjoying it. Well done. Isn't that wonderful? And Ellen's hair is lovely. No, that bit I made up. Right, next one. And Andre the Scribe. 1 star. Not for me. Sponsored by a lawn company.
What's wrong with that?
How does that make... Oh, because they're probably like then taking that back to eco qualities and blah blah. But it's like you can't think like that. But also, if it's not for you and like sponsored by a lawnmower company, then you don't listen to it. And there's stuff I don't choose to listen to. Oh dear. And this one, do you want another bad one? Singleton.com, expecting some insights into gardening and Chelsea, but largely self-publicising and rather dull chit-chat. Are we dull? Decided life was far too short. I tried something more suitable for me, which is great. Do that, but don't leave us 2 stars. Just go. Ollie J, informative, educational and light-hearted podcast that is brilliant for both beginner and experienced fans alike. Piano Mojo, I love these podcasts. Very informative, interesting, fun. Can't wait for the next episode. Garling Myself Sane. Oh, did we pay for that one? This is my favourite podcast. Ellen and Michael are so engaging. Blog from the Log, great podcast and some interesting guests. Sarah Spooks, lovely listening to the plant chat and you all sound so friendly. So I think when you scroll down there, you've obviously got, very few bad... Look at that one. But you don't have some of these are planted sometimes. PSEKTUEPR, positively harmful, avoid. How silly, honestly. Oh dear.
We are very harmful people.
But it's weird, isn't it? Like, there's another one.
Well, I wouldn't get too hung up.
Hang on. No, this one. I think they pressed the wrong button here. The chemistry between Michael and Ellen really shows in this podcast. The two get on so well, which has made a very fun show while still being informative, and the guests seem very comfortable with them as well. Great stuff, guys. But it's 1 star. And I think that might be like their finger slipped, because I can tell you who left this review. I know who this is.
Can you really?
Look.
That's hilarious.
In black and grey.
Oh,
the Veg Grower podcast.
He's our friend. He didn't mean to leave
Did your
a
finger slip?
The Veg Grower podcast, Richard. Did you mean to do that?
More 5 stars there.
Thank you for the review.
So that's super cool. Oh dear, my darling. But what? Series 5 is coming on the what? When is
the
it
19th of September.
That's it. Well done, old girl. And then in the meantime, what are we doing in the meantime, Ellen Mary?
Well, we are going to be doing something completely different to what we've usually done. We're going to be filling in the time.
It's not that different.
Well, it is. We don't usually do individual.
Make it sound like we're suddenly doing skiing or
something.
We're going to
do... Hey... Do you know what I'm trying to do here? I'm attempting to be less dull. We are doing individual podcasts.
Be less dull just by talking louder. Do you realise? Don't look at me like that.
I gave him that eye.
Right, carry on.
Shall I continue or not?
Yeah, continue.
Oh, thanks so much. Anyway,
it's the end of the series. Temper's afraid. Right, go on then.
I think it might be this hydrangea tea you've given me.
It is, yeah.
Okay, I'm actually going to get to the point now.
Yeah.
Between the end of this series and series 5, we are each going to be releasing individual episodes about topics that are close to our heart, that we really love doing. So I've got 4 episodes coming up, which is all to do with gardening and well-being, and that's going to include a doctor about that recent RHS research that they have released. I'm going to be talking to someone from Horatio's Garden, which is really exciting. Going to have Trees for the Future about well-being and communities, and another doctor. I got 2 doctors. Get me. We're going to be looking at research and real life experiences of well-being and gardening. What about you, Michael?
Sure, and that's every second week, and obviously in between will be me with Plant Geeks kind of mini podcast. So we'll talk about sweet peas, series, we'll actually talk about breeders, talk about new colours that are bred, get some real tips on how to grow the best. Also petunias, kind of delving into that world, how they've developed over the years. Antirrhinums, and the last one I've just written in the spreadsheet, because I haven't recorded the fourth one yet. But they start off, obviously, next week. So 25th of July is the first Plant Geeks mini podcast. Then your first one with Ellen is on the 1st of August, which is Ellen's Wellbeing podcast. What are you going to call it? It needs some sort of sub-name.
Does it?
Even though it's under plant-based, you need to give it some funky, cool name.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Being Well with Ellen.
Being well. We'll work on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really looking forward to all of those and looking forward to come back with Series 5. I'm excited about the guests we've already got, ready for Series 5.
Oh, definitely. We've just been interviewing today, actually.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just time for us to then say our thank yous, really, Ellen Mary.
Yeah.
You might be slightly better at being emotional than I.
Well, unlikely, but I would like to just say thank you so much to our sponsors. Yes, the lawn company, Cobra Garden Machinery, who have sponsored us throughout this series and also provided some exceptionally good competitions as well. So we appreciate it. Thanks for working with us.
Thank you also to our little miniature PR team as well. Thank you to our editor, Gareth Patch. Thank you to our humble occasional assistant, Jen, as well. And also thank you to our parents for bringing us on Earth in order to record this podcast. And also to both our partners who do not like plants as much as we do.
No, thanks for putting up with us. We love you. And thank you so much to all of you who are listening at home and supporting us and engaging with us and giving us ideas and commenting on our posts and messaging us and leaving us 5-star reviews.
Yeah, go and leave more 5-star reviews so we can dilute down those couple of 1-stars, honestly.
And we will try not to be dull.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Ciao. The music for the Plant Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.